Hi guys, it's Granny Tana speaking. Welcome to this FS22 news video. We got more information about Zielonka, the upcoming map of the upcoming premium DLC that will be released on 14th of November 2023. And here we already see a very typical image of the upcoming map Zielonka, and with a stork and some of those tiny old houses, and in the background some of those apartment buildings called Plattenbau. Yeah, and Giants made a very nice trailer, and let's just have a look. I muted the sound because of copyright, and what you could hear if you see the original version, it's a typical Eastern Europe music for dancing, and yeah, some people love it, some people don't. I like it, and I think it brings you into the right mood for enjoying this map. Yeah, and we get quite some impressions in very fast and short time, as usual. And later we will have screenshots and we can have a relaxed view, and we got the PDA map, the official one, and we can look at it a little bit closer. Yeah, it's really a nice old-fashioned landscape, I would say. Okay, that's it with this trailer video, and we got a blog article as usual, and I just read it to you. And about the images, we will have a closer look at the images later in this video in bigger form than in this news article. Parsnips and pianos, or pianos? I think pianos. Map trailer for Zielonka and download poster. The second big expansion for Farming Simulator 22 lets you cultivate an agricultural empire in Zielonka. A brand new Central European map coming with a premium expansion. Looking ahead to the scheduled release on November 14th, we set the mood right now. Check out the map trailer below and check out Zielonka. The charm of Central European farming. Zielonka expresses the flair of Germany's neighbors, drawing inspiration from countries like Poland and the Czech Republic. Not only does it offer a picturesque landscape around a remote and quaint village, it also has fertile ground to cultivate the new vegetable crops. With carrots, parsnips and red beet, the premium expansion brings the total count of arable crops in Farming Simulator 22 to 20. Of course, new machines and tools like specialist harvesters to handle the additions become available with the expansion too. Home of pianos and vegetable exports. Above all, a renowned piano manufacturer is resided alongside other traditional businesses in Zielonka. You may profit heavily from supporting the construction of classical keyboard instruments. By supplying wood, every piano built becomes a source of revenue for the discerning farmer. Have fun with this new production chain. There are new factories too. Focusing on vegetables, the potato production plant produces crispy potato chips, the preserved food factory canned goods, while the beloved soup factory called Soup specializes in liquid food. All of them reward you with increased income for delivering produce. Download the map of Zielonka. Here it is. You can print the map of Zielonka in different sizes and download the file by clicking the button below, in case you want to hang the map up on your walls, for example. And here we get more impressions and we'll have a closer look on them. And I wanted to say a little bit about the thing with the Central European farming. And yeah, in nowadays, since very few years, Central Europe moved to Poland, Czech Republic, and so forth. In all the years I lived before, so let's say nearly 60 years, Central Europe was in Germany. And everything that was behind the Iron Curtain, so at the German border or the border to Czech Republic and so, was Eastern Germany, and yeah, and France and Britain was Western Germany, Europe, I mean, and Germany was Central Europe, and Austria as well, and so on and so forth. But somehow with the expansion of the EU and the idea that Europe is still farther east than Poland, which is true, Poland and Czech Republic think, okay, now we are Central Europe. And yeah, I can understand their reasoning, but for me it is really hard to think of Central Europe as Poland and Czech Republic. So therefore, if I stumble across this Central European farming and I say like the so-called, that is because in 60 years of my life, Central Europe was where I live, and now Central Europe suddenly is 1,000 kilometers farther to the east. Yeah, but if everybody else is content with the idea that Central Europe moved so far east, from my point of view, then it's okay for me and I have to get used to it. But I think it will take a while. Okay, so, and in the end, it doesn't matter at all. Now, let's have a look at the map Zielonka. And the PDA already leaked in one of the big conventions. I don't remember whether it was in Cologne on the Gamescom or at PAX West. I guess maybe it was PAX West. And one YouTuber got the image, a screenshot of the PDA, and this circled around. But now we have the official PDA map, and in a very good resolution you can download it and print it as a poster for your wall. And it looks like the screenshot that was leaked, but now the image is much crisper. Yeah, and we see the typical fields that are very long, small and long, and that has to do with the history of farming in this area. And yeah, when the the farmer father had 4 sons and he died, then all the land was divided in for all the 4 sons, and therefore the fields got narrower and narrower. And I think it is wise to divide them lengthwise and make them narrower, but still keep the length, instead of making tinier and tinier squares, because you have to turn around so often if you have a square field. Therefore, I think it's a good idea to have those long stripes. You don't need to turn around as often. And yeah, as you can see here, and in reality, not all fields are in those narrow stripes. Some are combined together again, and that's what you can do with those fields here, for example, or those. If you buy all the fields, I think you can combine them together, plow them, and then you have a bigger field. And that was done in reality, not only in Poland and Czech Republic, but more so in Germany too, because I'm sure we had those long and small fields as well. But then the farms became bigger, and people bought more of the land. And when it was still Eastern Europe, they had something official farmers groups. I don't know how they called it in Poland. In Russia it was called kolchozy, and in Eastern Germany it was called LPG, I think. And I don't know at all how they called it in Poland and Czech Republic and other places of Eastern Europe. But they were very big. They nearly owned most of the land in area, and then they brought the fields together again. And therefore we have some very big fields, like in the Horsch farm, which is from Czech Republic, in a similar area. We have quite huge fields because of this LPG stuff, where a lot of farmers came together and farmed together. And in Germany it was handled differently, so we also had those tiny fields from all this inheriting, but the farmers didn't 100% work together, but they grouped together from a village, for example, and they thought, okay, those tiny fields are useless, it's too much work to work on them, and we don't get the best yield. We have to make the fields bigger again. Let's regroup the fields. And then one farmer gave one field to another farmer who had a neighboring field, and so they switched around the fields until they had bigger fields again. And therefore, in most parts of Germany, we have medium-sized fields, I would say. There are areas in the former Eastern Germany where the fields are quite big with this LPG stuff, and in former Western Germany the fields usually are medium-sized, but they went through this regrouping of the field sizes. Okay, so this was a walk far beyond Zielonka, but I find this very interesting. Why are the fields so narrow, long stripes in Poland? On Polish maps I already saw them. Then I checked Google Maps, and then I asked, and I remembered, okay, in Germany we had this problem as well, and it's quite interesting what people do when the fields become too small. Yeah, here we have an image with this typical wooden and old buildings, and I really like them, but I guess it's rather not poor to live there, but I guess it's mostly poor people live in those houses. And yeah, if they are happy there, then it's awesome. And did I tell you already? No, I think I didn't tell you. One guy from Poland, I heard him writing in the YouTube comments, in Poland the houses don't look like this anymore. It was in former times they looked like that, but it's 30 years ago, and now most of the houses look different. So this is something like a vintage view of this Polish area. Okay, and this I think is a farm building. And there may be a barn. And here we have the piano factory with a piano inside. At the beginning this room is totally empty. And here this is a tower, and there is a swamp area. Oh, here about the map, we have more than narrow fields there. Here we can see the village. I totally forgot, because I'm so fascinated about these narrow fields. But here is the village, and it consists more or less on one road, and nearly all the village buildings are on each side of the road. Only here is a little bit wider. But this is typical, not only for this Central Europe region, but also in other parts of the world, of Europe. You see more or less of those villages that are just along one road. And here we have a forest and a swamp. And in between we have all the fields, and there is the central farm that we already saw in several videos, but there are other farms as well. Here in the top region there is something like a farm, and as far as I know the land is more even, flatter there, so maybe it's easier to build your farm in this area if you want to have additional buildings. And there, beside the field number 62, there is another farm, and I don't know how this region is, but maybe it is a good area to have a farm as well. And you can play with your friends, and each can have a farm, and there are other areas where you could build farms. So back to the swamp. Where is the swamp? Here. I think the swamp can't be used for anything, but somehow it's cool, and especially this tower looks very awesome. And here we have a very cute brick building with some wood stored inside, and I asked myself whether it's a central oven to bake your bread, because in former times it was normal to bake the bread not at home in your kitchen, but to have one big oven in the village somewhere. And yeah, everyone who needed to bake bread went there to bake the bread. And So you had your bread building, baking day, and then you went there and baked 10 or 20 breads for the whole family. And in the afternoon, the next family came, and so forth. And this looks for me like something like that. But maybe it's something different. I don't know. And here we have a park, and there is this nice church and some chess. And this is a Kukuchik supermarket. And you can look inside and see a lot of products. And I really like it. It looks so like in the 60s. The first supermarkets that I remember, they looked like that. And therefore I find this really awesome. Maybe it's very nice to play with vintage machineries on this map. And here another look at the village. And here are those Plattenbauten. I don't know how they are called in Polish, but they are typical for all the countries behind the Iron Curtain. And yeah, and in Western Europe, oh, I have it, Western Europe. Yeah, maybe we are Western Europe. It depends on the point of view somehow. So when in the West we had similar buildings or have similar buildings as well, but they look a little bit different. So this is the typical Eastern European look of those kind of apartment buildings. But I heard, even if it looks ugly, so a lot of people really love to live there. And because the shape of the ground floor is very useful, the rents are cheap, and in a lot of areas it's like a small village, a house like that. And in Germany, those areas with those kinds of houses, it's usually not like a village and people like each other, but it's more like small war zone. So it's not nice to live there. So, but the houses look a little bit nicer usually. So maybe better choose the houses that look a little bit uglier and be happy there with the people and be friends with the people who live there. That's what I heard about this, that a lot of people really like to live in those kinds of buildings because they are very useful and cheap. And here we have this awesome windmill and a building with a stork's nest on top. Yeah, this is the area where the northern farm could be. Okay, so tell me, are you looking forward to Zielonka and the big expansion that comes in November? And I'm really excited about this map, but I don't know yet how I will play on it. Yeah, whether I use the normal equipment or more go for vintage machinery. Somehow it's calling for vintage, I think. Okay, that's it for this news video. I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for watching and all the best. Till next time. Tschüss.